Welcome to English Galactic Beacon. You can download the free PDF for this story with vocabulary and exercises from the description below. Don't miss it. Hi, everyone. Today, I want to share something special, the story of my very first time flying on a plane. It was exciting, a little bit scary, and something I'll always remember. So join me as I look back on that unforgettable day. One evening, I got a surprise message. My cousin had invited me to visit her in a different city. When my parents said I could go, I was thrilled. I had never traveled by plane before, and I couldn't stop thinking about what it would be like, flying above the clouds and watching the world from the sky. That night, I sat on my bed, smiling to myself. Even though my suitcase was still empty, my mind was full of excitement. I opened my notebook and wrote, "Flying for the first time, tomorrow," and drew a tiny airplane beside it. Yes, I felt a little anxious too, but that's normal. Trying something new always comes with a mix of nerves and wonder. The next morning, I started packing. I neatly folded a few t-shirts, jeans, socks, and a warm hoodie. Then I added my toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, and a book for the journey. Of course, I couldn't forget my favorite headphones. They always help me feel relaxed. I glanced at my list one last time. Clothes, toiletries, gift for my cousin. I zipped my suitcase and said softly, "All set." In my backpack, I packed my phone, charger, passport, boarding pass, and the same notebook I'd written in the night before. I felt proud knowing I'd packed everything on my own. Early the next day, I woke up before sunrise. The sky was still dark, and I felt a bit sleepy, but my excitement made up for it. My dad helped carry my suitcase as we stepped outside and got into a taxi. I looked out the window during the drive. The streets were calm and quiet, and I hugged my backpack on my lap. My dad explained what would happen at the airport, the check-in, security check, and boarding gate. I listened closely, trying to remember everything. About half an hour later, we arrived. I saw tall glass walls, bright lights, and lots of people going in and out. I took a deep breath and whispered, "Here we go." The airport was even bigger than I expected. There were people walking in every direction, rolling their suitcases, checking screens, or waiting in lines. I held onto my dad's hand as we walked past signs for check-in, security, gates, and more. Everything felt new and exciting, but also a bit overwhelming. I heard flight announcements echoing from the speakers and the sound of luggage wheels on the floor. I looked around and smiled. This is real, I thought. I'm actually going to fly. We found the check-in counter and waited in line. When it was our turn, a friendly staff member greeted me. I handed her my passport and ticket. She typed a few things and printed out my boarding pass. "Seat 14A by the window," she said. I thanked her and carefully took the paper. My very first boarding pass. Next, I placed my suitcase on the belt and watched it roll away. "See you at the destination," I whispered. Then came security. I removed my jacket, shoes, and phone and placed everything in a tray. As I walked through the scanner, it beeped. My heart jumped. A security guard kindly asked, "Do you have any liquids?" Oh, Just a water bottle, I said. She took it out and smiled. No worries. You're good to go. I sighed in relief and followed my dad toward the gates, feeling a little more confident. We followed signs to gate 12 and found seats near a large window. I could see airplanes moving, parking, and taking off. I watched one lift into the sky and whispered, "That'll be me soon." Around me, people read books, scrolled on their phones, or quietly sipped coffee. I checked my backpack again. Passport, ticket, notebook, headphones, all there. My dad smiled and said, "Almost time." "Thanks for being here," I replied with a grin. A voice came over the speaker. "Flight 245 to River City is now boarding." My heart began to race. My dad looked at me and said, "Ready?" I nodded and walked toward the gate agent. She scanned my boarding pass. "Enjoy your flight," she said. I stepped into the jet bridge, heart pounding. Inside the plane, soft lighting and rows of seats welcomed me. A flight attendant greeted me with a smile. I found seat 14A right by the window and sat down staring outside. As the plane started moving, I grabbed the armrest. Faster, faster. Then suddenly we were in the air. My ears felt a little strange, but I swallowed, and it helped. The ground got smaller, and the clouds got closer. I couldn't believe it. I was flying. The view was beautiful, fluffy clouds and a golden sky. I relaxed into my seat, feeling calm now that we were in the air. A flight attendant passed by with a cart. "Would you like a drink?" she asked. "Orange juice, please," I said. She handed me a cup and a pack of crackers. I smiled and thanked her. As I sipped the juice and looked around, I saw other passengers watching movies, reading, or napping. I pulled out my notebook and wrote, "I'm flying for the first time, and it's even better than I imagined." About an hour later, the pilot announced we'd be landing soon. I fastened my seatbelt and looked out the window. The clouds began to clear. I could see the city getting closer, buildings, roads, tiny cars. The plane touched down gently, bump, bump, and slowed to a stop. I took a deep breath. I did it. As I walked off the plane, my legs felt a little wobbly, but I was smiling. At the arrival gate, my cousin was waiting. "You made it," she shouted and hugged me. "Yes," I laughed. My first flight, and I loved it. We collected my suitcase and left the airport together. That day, I felt braver than ever, and I'll never forget it. Thanks for flying with me. Thanks for joining me on my first ever flight. I hope you enjoyed the story and maybe even learned something new. Trying new things can be scary, but also full of excitement and discovery. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more weekly English stories. See you next time, and happy travels!